There was no furious friend. There was no angry person threatening to show up at the school board meeting and blow everything up. That person did not exist. Our guy made them up completely, entirely out of thin air. And his cheating wife and her cheating boyfriend were so scared that the boyfriend went and confessed to the whole board himself, resigned his seat, torched his reputation, handed over his career on a silver platter. Because of a person who was never real. Y'all, we are about to talk about one of the most quietly brilliant revenge stories I have ever read. Get comfortable. Okay, let me set the scene. Our guy, I'm going to call him James, and his wife were close with another couple across the street, like genuinely close. We're talking dinners together multiple times a week, vacations together, kids the same age who were all best friends. James saw the husband, let's call him Marcus, as a brother. Their wives were close. They were one big family unit. And then one day, James was using the family computer, and his wife had left her email open. He wasn't snooping, he just saw it. An email to her therapist mentioning that Marcus would be joining her at an upcoming session again. Again? James's brain started doing math and it did not want to do it. He dug a little deeper, found emails going back 6 weeks showing that Marcus had been attending his wife's therapy sessions with her in secret, without telling either James or Marcus's wife, Sarah. Then he pulled up the phone records. They had been texting each other hundreds of times a day, every single day, peaking at nearly 500 texts in one day during the holidays. The holidays, when both families were at James and his wife's house together, celebrating, and those two were sitting across the room from their spouses, texting each other. 500 times. I need you to sit with that for a second. James confronted his wife, and she didn't deny it. She told him that yes, she and Marcus had fallen in love. It just happened. I don't know how, but I love him, and I just don't want to feel anything for you anymore. I'm sorry. And then, and this is the best part that really got me, she explained that they had already made plans. They were going to divorce their spouses and eventually move in together. The therapy sessions were supposedly to figure out the kindest way to break this to James and Sarah. James and Sarah are both pretty sure they were never actually going to tell them at all. They were going to manufacture some other reason for the divorces down the line and hope nobody ever connected the dots. James describes lying face down on the couch, unable to even look at her while she explained all of this. And y'all, I believe him. I felt that description in my chest. He says he cried every day. He cried writing the original post. He worried constantly about his kids. But, and this is important, James is not a person who takes being wronged quietly. And here is where James's brain, even in the middle of all that grief, started working. Because here's what you need to know about Marcus. A couple of years earlier, Marcus had run for a seat on the local Board of Education as a complete underdog. And James, being the good friend he was, had helped him with his campaign materials, his debate prep, everything. His wife had used her reputation as a well-known school district employee to help get the word out. Marcus won by just a few dozen votes. The Board of Education became the center of Marcus's life. He joined every committee he could, and all of those school events and evening meetings were where the affair had started and grown. James also knew something else. His wife was in line for a major promotion, an administrative position she had basically been promised. She had just finished her master's degree in school administration specifically so she could get this job. The superintendent had personally encouraged her to pursue it. The pay raise was significant. The role was hers. So James took a breath, and he thought about all of this very carefully. An affair between a Board of Education member and a school district employee was, at minimum, a political disaster, possibly a policy violation, and James had all the receipts, text, call logs, emails to the therapist, all of it. He could have just sent it all to the board and the superintendent, but he worried he wouldn't be seen as credible, just as a scorned husband out for blood. So instead, he invented someone. He told his wife that a mutual friend who was furious about the affair was planning to show up at the next Board of Education meeting and publicly expose the whole thing. He said he had tried to talk to this person, talk him down, but he couldn't make any promises. And then he waited. Marcus panicked, completely panicked, because if someone was going to stand up in a public meeting and announce his affair to the entire community, the only way to control the narrative was to get ahead of himself. So Marcus went to the board and confessed. The superintendent recommended he resign, and he did. Sarah told James that Marcus was utterly humiliated, crushed, barely got out of bed for days. And once word of the resignation and the affair started spreading, because of course it did, it's a small town, the superintendent called James's wife and tearfully told her that it was no longer politically appropriate for her to be promoted. The job she had been promised, the one she had gotten a master's degree for, gone, given to an outside candidate. And the day after she got that call, James and his wife took their son out to breakfast for his birthday. And a parent stopped by their table to congratulate her on her new role. She said thank you, and then went to the bathroom to cry. James let things settle for a couple weeks. And then, right before she moved out, he told them both. There was no furious friend. There never was. That was just him. Word spread through their small town the way it does in small towns. Marcus, who used to be this outgoing, gregarious presence at every neighborhood event and local pub, basically went into hiding, barely came outside, was in the process of moving to a much smaller place because that's all he could afford after child support. James's wife's reputation at the district, the one she had built over nearly 20 years, took a serious hit. She stopped talking to him about how things were at work. He heard through people he knew that it wasn't great. And Marcus and James's wife were apparently still planning to try to make things work together. James wished them luck with that, said he was sure it would be very fun for them to show their faces around town. And I mean, yeah, good luck with that, you two. As for Sarah, Marcus's wife, she and James became really important to each other through all of this. Not romantically, he makes that very clear, just two people going through the exact same nightmare with the exact same players. She came over with the kids sometimes. They were each other's lifeline. Years later, and this is the part that got me, James posted an update. He said he was in a relationship with someone new and had gone from, this is fun, to, wait a minute, to, oh, this is actually a real thing. He said he rereads his original post sometimes and is just so glad he's not that guy anymore. That guy was a mess. But that guy also was a genius. Okay, I need to acknowledge something before we wrap up. A lot of these revenge stories are satisfying because somebody got what was coming to them. This one is satisfying for all of that, yes, but it's also just quietly devastating. The image of him lying face down on the couch while she explained her exit plan, the birthday breakfast where she had to go cry in the bathroom, the fact that he helped Marcus win that election, he campaigned for this man, and then he used that same exact campaign knowledge, the fact that Marcus cared so deeply about that board seat, to take it all away with a person he made up. That's not petty. That is art. The thing I keep coming back to is that James never lost his cool. He never fired off an angry email. He never showed up anywhere and made a scene. He just thought and waited and let them do the work for him. I don't know, y'all. This one hit different. Drop a comment and tell me, could you have stayed that calm? Because I genuinely do not think that I could have. I would have been sending screenshots to everyone I knew within the first 24 hours, and this would have gone very differently. Like and subscribe if you want more stories like this one, and I'll see you in the next one.